Hi, my name is Roman Mitros, and I'm a mortgage broker out of Sacramento, California. I've been in the business for over 20 years. Actually, I started in August of 1997. The way I started with a broker who was #1 FHA mortgage broker in Michigan at that time. He taught me a lot of different things. Mainly, he taught me that the underwriting guidelines are usually black and white. However, there are sometimes gray areas that can go either way, depending on explanation letter, depending on the situation, depending on different other circumstances in the file. So it's not really black and white. And that's where sometimes we win to make the decision go our way instead of going to be declined. I would take a really big pride in the fact that we get all of our deals financed just because we truly believe in our clients. One point, about 4 months ago, I had a client who'd been declined by 3 different underwriters and by the manager of the underwriting department. We went to the vice president of the company to plead our case. After about 30-minute conversation, he told us what he needed from us in order to put a signature of his to sign off on this condition. We got that, the person got himself a house. Otherwise, if we did not call the vice president, we would not get that financing. As far as the knowledge goes, I try to learn as much as I possibly can, and each time when the guidelines get updated, and they usually get updated every 6 months, something always changes. Sometimes I start doing the transaction and I submit the loan, and all of a sudden I learn that something has changed. That happens very rarely. Sometimes it does. We find different ways of how to approach different transactions, because there is also Fannie Mae, there is Freddie Mac, there is Ginnie Mae. When I try to approve a client, I try to look at all of these details on each of them, and based on the situation of each client. For example, when you put 3% down on a Freddie Mac program, which is called Home Possible, you have to go with a DTI of 45%, and that usually is the standard for Freddie Mac. However, not many people know that if you put 5% down, you can go up to 50% debt-to-income ratio. There is another issue with the 1% down payment, again on a Freddie Mac program. On a Freddie Mac program, if you are self-employed over 5 years in a business and you can document that, we don't need to look at your taxes for the past 2 years. It's enough to look at the taxes just for 1 year. Now, this is what we do. We take the underwriting guidelines from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie Mae, which is also known as FHA. We look at them the way they are. We don't add any additional guidelines, such as different large banks add additional guidelines which are called overlays. We go directly to the source. In case if there are sometimes some disagreements between us and the underwriters, and the question is very, very specific, I make my underwriters to call directly to those agencies, to the underwriters who sit specifically in Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie Mae, in order to find out the exact answer so that those underwriters at those agencies would sign off on those conditions. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. We are willing to go the extra mile to make our decision to go our way. In case if you have any additional questions, you can always call me. If you have some specific question on some specific guideline, we have the knowledge. And that's how we separate ourselves from the rest of the people in this industry.